Hello, you beautiful people! The V3 changes for patch 3.3 just went live, and in this video, I'm going to quickly go over all these changes, and we will also take a look at whether these are positive or negative. Honestly, the number of changes that they made aren't really a lot, but all the changes that they did end up making are pretty significant in my opinion. Before we go on though, if you're planning to pull for any of the new characters, you might want to check out Lubar because on this site you can save up to a total of 23% on all your purchases. To give an example, I'll buy this 3280 Oniric Shard pack for $43, and this same pack costs me about $50 from the in-game shop. You can see that it's cheaper, right? The top-up process is honestly really easy as well because all you need to do is enter your UID in this box and choose your respective server, depending on your account. After waiting for a few minutes, I received my Jades with the double top-up bonus because it was my first purchase and saved a decent amount of money. Other than HSR, you can top up on Genshin as well using Lubar, and both of these games have quite a lot of 5-star reviews. Lastly, if you use my link which is in the description or the pinned comment, you can get an extra 8% off on top of all the other discounts. Alright, starting with the changes that they made to CIPHER'S kit, they basically reworded how her follow-up attack works, and I think it's way better as compared to before. So, in the previous iteration of her kit, Cipher was only allowed to use her follow-up attack after she used her ultimate, and if you want to trigger another follow-up attack, well, you will need to gain energy and use Cipher's ultimate again. Basically, Cipher only had a massive total of 1 follow-up attack per ultimate, and even though her FUA doesn't really deal that much damage due to its okayish multipliers, it still serves other purposes, which I'm going to mention later. Now though, they changed this restriction on her follow-up attack, and she can trigger her FUA once per turn. This change increases the frequency of her follow-up attack by an insane amount, and at the same time, it also lets her deal just a little bit more damage. Coming to the main topic, you're probably wondering why this change is really good, right? Well, whenever Cipher uses a follow-up attack, she actually applies a debuff onto the enemies, and I'm sure some of you have already connected the dots that this change is massive for Acheron. These changes essentially make Cipher easily fit into a classic E0 Acheron team without any kind of massive drawbacks, and at the same time, she is also dealing a pretty respectable amount of damage in this team to fulfill her role as the sub-DPS. All in all, Cipher is now Acheron's best teammate other than Jiaoqiu, and to all my fellow Acheron mains, I'm just saying that you might want to start saving for Cipher. Now, other than Acheron, Cipher also got buffed in feixiao teams because, as I said, the frequency of her follow-up attacks is way more, and this in turn generate more stacks for feixiao. Honestly, from all the testing that I have done, Cipher should be feixiao's best teammate after these changes other than Robin because she actually makes feixiao way better than she is right now. Overall, if you love feixiao and if you're planning to play her for a long time, you should start considering pulling Cipher for her as well. Next up, they also slightly buffed her third trace, and now it gives 40% vulnerability to the enemies as compared to the previous 30% vulnerability. By the way, to apply this vulnerability debuff onto the enemies, all Cipher needs is to stay on the field, and that's pretty much it. Yep, she basically makes all the enemies take 40% more damage just by existing on the field and nothing else, which is kind of crazy. Moving on, they also changed her E1, and in my opinion, her E1 is quite literally one of the best Eidolon in the entire game after this change. So, you guys know how Cipher's talent records your entire team's damage for her ultimate, right? Well, this E1 just increases this recorded team damage by 150% of its original value. I think now you know why I'm saying this Eidolon is broken, right? Other than that, her E1 makes it so that whenever Cipher triggers her FUA, her attack is increased by 80% for a total of 2 turns. All in all, this E1 is insanely valuable, and yes, it has a higher pull value as compared to her light cone. Contrary to her E1 though, her E2 isn't as good because it just makes it so that whenever Cipher hits a target, there is a 120% base chance that this target takes 30% more damage for 2 turns. Like, I'm not saying it's a bad E2, but value-wise, if you want to vertically invest in Cipher, just pull her E1 and you're good to go. Lastly, talking about the Hyacine changes, all the changes that they made to her kit was that they added little in front of her memo sprite Ika's name, and now her memo sprite is called Little Ika. Honestly, I would say this was a pretty important change because it increases the cuteness in her kit. Well, I've covered all the changes that they made to both CIPHER'S and HYACINE'S kit in the recent changes, and I really hope you guys liked the video. Do tell me in the comments how you guys feel about these changes though, because I'm somewhat curious about that. Also, do remember to subscribe to the channel, and with that being said, I will see you in another one.